everybody, welcome to the Ronline Report. This is a very special Ronline Report, special interview in general for me because I've been interviewing bodybuilders for, it's hard for me to do the math, since 1991, 92, thousands of them. I've interviewed some strongmen. I've never interviewed a powerlifter in all these years. Today, we have with us two-time pro world champion. He was also the AAPF Teenage World Champion. Shane Hammock, everybody. Let me give you guys some numbers. 2,800 pound total. In meets, he has squatted 1,125 pounds, bench press 875, pulled a 900 pound deadlift. In the gym, he's had a 1,200 pound squat, 1,100 pound bench, 950 pound deadlift. So these are some future numbers coming from him in meets, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Shane, welcome to the Ronline Report. Thank you so much for doing this. In total honesty, everybody, we just did this interview, but my typical technical difficulties with the program I'm using. We're doing it a second time around. It's going to be so much better. But
we needed to warm up.
It always works out better the second time around. So I know you started lifting, because I know all this because we just talked about it. You started so young, so very young that you knew you wanted to be a strong guy. How early in your life did you know you were going to be strong or wanted to be strong?
At 5 years old, I knew without a shadow of a doubt I wanted to be the strongest man on this planet. I knew it. I even told my mother, I looked at my mother and said, I'm going to be the strongest man in the world. And that's fine, but I come from an unathletic family. Nobody had ever played sports, anything of that nature. So me saying that was just odd to my family, but without even understanding it, they nurtured it. And that's what I can thank them for, because they never understood their son, but they respected me and they supported me. And so at 5 years old, I believed I wanted to be the man. And by 11, I had aggravated them enough that they got me my first concrete weight set. And like I told you before, started working out 5 hours a day. Didn't know what I was doing. Just knew I needed to eat and keep training. And within a year, my bench press at 12 years old was 275 raw. I got to say raw nowadays because of the conversation earlier. But
I know guys who are 21, 25 years old can't bench press that much. Wow, 200 pound 12-year-old. So yeah, so when did you know that you wanted to actually compete in it? How did you actually start getting into powerlifting competition?
My first meet actually was when I was 12, and I could bench 275. And I remember on that day, my first meet I went to, the guy who ran the meet ended up being my coach for the rest of my life. To this day, I'm 30 years old. This is still my coach. The first meet I went to, I was going to Gold's Gym, and my first trainer, who was a bodybuilder, by the way, really showed me work ethic. I mean, like none other. Like showed me it's okay to go this far. Guy by the name of Jerry Fitzpatrick. Yeah. He told me to go to this meet and try this out. I'd never heard about powerlifting, and then they tell me bench, squat, and deadlift determine who the man is, and so I start training this. So I go to this meet. And I meet this grizzled old man with a long beard, two-time war vet, just a really hard man. And I was a scared 12-year-old kid, and he took me under his wing. I can't thank him enough. His name's Joe DeVerbal, and Joe DeVerbal is a student of Ernie Franz. Ernie Franz also trained Eddie Cohn, which we talked about earlier. Yeah. So that knowledge was brought to my town, and without that man, I would, there's no way I'd be the man I am today. I would have been a regular gym guy just trying to get it. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I would have never had the focus and vision I have for my life if it hadn't been for Joe DeVerbal saying, you need to go this direction. And I don't at all. You
told me Ernie is basically the father of American powerlifting, right?
Yes, he is. And if people don't believe that, then they need to be educated. So, yes, he is.
So, you were, like you said, 5 hours a day. You didn't know what you were doing. You just knew you wanted to be strong. You love lifting. I think you talked to me about lifting for 5 hours. You take a break halfway through to have a banana and some
and drink some more juice. Yeah.
So
no, had no idea. Had no idea. Just knew that helped me have energy.
So did Joe take you under his wing and say, this is what it's great that you've gotten this far, but how did he show you the way things are supposed to be done as a power lifter?
When I first started out with him, I didn't even want to wear a belt. I was like, no gear, no nothing. And back then, you didn't say raw or gear, you just said power lifter.
Right.
And anyway, he got all over me, and he was like, you need to wear a belt. This is for safety. And then he got me into, you need to go this way, wear some gear, let me push you. And I think he got a hold of me at 13. By 14, he had put like 300 pounds on my total in a year. And I didn't even, I was so young and naive, I didn't even understand what a total was. Right. I didn't understand. I knew that my bench was this, my squat was this, and my deadlift was this. But I didn't know you put them together and how you win a meet, and that's how young I was. Right. That's just how. But he showed me all that, showed me the way, pushed me a certain kind of direction, and showed me that, there are things that are strength shows like strongman, but this is a record of strength. You have to do it proper. The technique must be there, and you have to respect the rules, or else it does not count in my sport. Just because you can stand up with it does not make you the man. You have to obey the rules that we all have to. Yeah. And that's something that I hate is not always at the forefront of my sport, but it's true powerlifters, the ones that respect the sport. We want to do our list right, and right. I'm one of those guys. So I want to get it done right or not get it done at all.
So by the time you're a teenager, I don't know if you're 18 or 19, you became the world champion
as
a teenager. So at that point, did you know and did other people know that this guy has the potential to be one of the very best of all time if he keeps going?
I had a lot of people tell me if I didn't listen to them, I didn't do this or didn't do that, I would never amount to anything. And within a year of people telling me things like, just be honest, even when I was a kid, I had people pushing me to take drugs.
Yeah.
Like, not my coach, no way.
Right.
And not anybody who cared about me. Right. But I had people pushing me to try to say this. All the people that told me I would never amount to anything as a child without any kind of help, I surpassed within the year that they told me that. And they would be like, man, how do you do this? And I would always joke and be like, man, Jesus and a Chinese buffet. That's how I get it done. I would joke about that. But, by 19, that was when I became world champion, that was the second biggest teenage total of all time. So, people started talking. And by 2021, I started getting a lot of attention that I didn't expect.
Yeah, because, your total now, those lifts that we just talked about at the beginning were very impressive. But by 22, you were already creeping up to some crazy, crazy numbers for,
and something I want to say about my total of 2,800 that I didn't clarify last time.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, the baddest dudes on the planet were Gary Frank, Andy Bolton. Andy Bolton's first guy to ever deadlift 1,000 pounds. Those were the baddest dudes on the planet. Their totals were 2,800 and 2,805.
Wow.
Like, those were the baddest dudes that ever existed when I was a teenager. When I got to a 2,800 pound total, man, I cannot tell you how good I felt that I could just stand among the people that I respected my whole life. Yeah. I didn't watch football and have heroes. I didn't watch baseball and I didn't watch MMA to have heroes. I watched powerlifters. I watched these. You ever been to a powerlifting meet?
I've sat in the Arnold for portions of the.
You've seen some of them. But when I was 14 years old, I got taken to my first APF meet with Joe DeVerval. I walk into a room. I'm 14 years old. I'm 220 pounds. I walk into a room. The first thing I see is two 6'4" guys who were 350 pounds apiece, and they were both squatting 1,000 pounds. They scared me to death, and I was like, I want to be these guys one day. Like, I want to be that. I want to be this large, muscular man who can lift all this crazy weight. It hit me. It's always struck a chord in me. Yeah. So, yeah.
Because, you're not a small guy. You're 300 pounds, roughly. But,
yeah.
What's the biggest total? What's the biggest total in the world right now in powerlifting? I'm just curious.
3,010.
3,010.
Yeah, it's 3,010, but I'm sorry. I'll go on record saying this. It was not a legitimate lift.
Okay.
It's just I'm not starting any controversy about that, but the squat was high. The other two lifts were beautiful, but the guy doing the lift was in an organization that he basically is the head of. And nobody's gonna tell him he's in the wrong. I've seen him squat so high, it's unbelievable. I have great respect for this athlete that I'm not going to mention, but I have great respect for him. But he didn't get it right, and he knows that when I do my total, when I beat that total, there is going to be no question on my list. It will be clean all the way, and that is what I want. That I need that for me, and I need that out of respect of the people like Joe DeVerval and High Tech that have believed in me this whole time.
Because it's funny you mentioned it, because a lot of times bodybuilding is obviously it's more like a beauty pageant, to be honest with you.
Sure.
For big muscular guys. So, but we say it's there's no one's ever happy really. The fans of the guy that wins, and he's happy obviously, but a lot of other people are always upset. And we say, you know what? It's an opinion sport. If you want a sport where there's no opinion, it's just clear cut. Go be a power lifter. You lift, you get the lift, and you win.
Mm-hmm. We call it Christmas gifts. We all get lifts that were shaky and get passed. Yeah. Sometimes, but the majority of the lifts are you either got it clean or you did not, and it counts or it doesn't. There is no committee to say that just didn't look good enough. It's three guys saying no, those were within the rules guidelines. You got that. Yeah. And there's no debate. It just is what it is. A high squat's a high squat. A bench that's not locked out is not a locked out bench. And the thing that aggravates me with most of the records coming out now in deadlift, most guys are not locking out their deadlifts. I saw a record 900-pound, or it's like 910 or 915 deadlift the other day that was supposed to be this big record. Yeah. The whole time the guy's standing at the top, he's shaking and not locked out. And they gave the record to him, and I'm like, that's bar up and down movement. It's all he was breaking like 3 rules just by doing that, and it became a record lift. Wow! And you see this happening every now and then, and that aggravates me. But that's part of the sport, and it being so divided, and so many organizations saying this legit and that's legit, and that's why, as we talked about earlier, when you say what organizations do you believe in, I believe APF, because it doesn't matter how good I am, they will bomb me any day of the week if I don't get a good squat in. It doesn't matter what my name is and who I am. I walk in that room, and I'm treated like every other lifter on the planet, and I love it because that's the rules. That's what it should be. The APF and the WPO, just because they were the first professional organization there was, they were paying out stuff like $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 to winners. This is the kind of stuff I want in my life. Those are the 2 organizations I adhere to. Yeah, so.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but strongman is such a more glamorous sport because it's entertaining. It's on TV. I sit there and watch the Arnold's Strongest Man, and I'm just in awe of what these guys are doing. So, was there ever a temptation for you to do that instead of powerlifting? Because there is more money, there is more glamour.
Absolutely, just because that test is there alone, that somebody's willing to say that, they can beat me at this. And of course I take that challenge because it is a strength challenge, but it's definitely a different sport, because like we said before, there's a show element to it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Those guys are making money. That's fine. And powerlifting is a record of strength, not a show of strength. And that's a little more boring for most people, but if you know it, you love it, it's entertaining as hell, but most people don't get it, and I'm okay with it. Yeah. But there's been a big interest in doing strongman, and in fact, if I had done the strongman event I wanted to this year, the guy who was running the meet told me if I won that in my next event, I would actually be a pro already, and he would fly me to Africa to compete against people like Brian Shaw. Wow. Not ready for that quite at the moment. And the reason I told you that is, I wanted my raw conventional deadlift to get up to about 900. And right now it's at about 850, and I need that solid 900 before I go. I need that base before I go walk into a sport like strongman, where 90% of their lifts contain their back. Yeah. 90% of what they do is a back movement. So, anyway.
Do you think that it's more genetically inclined to these freakishly large men, strongmen? Like I've stood next to Shaw. He's not much shorter than 7 foot. His hands are like the size of catcher's mitts. He's just an enormous human being.
Of course, and even the sport is designed for tall guys. If you've ever watched it when it was on ESPN, I know it's changed with ABC now. Yeah. When it was ESPN, and they would do the car walk alone. Yeah. Go back and watch Pujanowski, who's probably one of the best of all time. Watch him try to stand up with that car and walk.
Yeah.
There were days where literally the straps were so tall, he barely got the car off the ground and could walk. And I was just like, that's ridiculous. But the tall guys had no problem. Right. And you know, the stones alone, the first place they put that stone on, my 5'11" self would have to do a hop, with the weight in my hand. So of course, their sport is definitely catered to a bigger man. But I'm okay with that challenge because I believe I'm a 300-pound Shane right now. I believe a 350-pound Shane will be the strongest man this world has ever seen. If I stay healthy and do my job. Yeah. But I believe a 350-pound me is what I need to be to walk into that sport.
And you know, you're just turned 30, and I mean, it seems like the peak age for powerlifters is 35 to 40. It seems to me that's where they peak out.
Muscle matures at 35 to 40, usually at 35. But actually, most of this is going to surprise you because of the way we were talking about training difference and all that.
Yeah.
And I said, when I was 21 years old, I could barely walk, and you know, I was really running down because I was always lifting heavy. Well, the guys who train the way I do now, they did most of their biggest numbers when they were 47 and 50 years old. In fact, the biggest total in my sport was done by a 47-year-old man.
Wow.
At one time. Oh, yes. And Louis Simmons' biggest numbers ever were when he was 52 years old. If you train right, you should be stronger than ever as an old man. You've had more years on this planet to be strong. But as you get older, you can't take the beating you did as a child. You can't take the repetitive, I bench as heavy as I can, I squat as heavy as I can, I deadlift as heavy as I can. You've got to break it up, and your training has to evolve. And that's what I've done over the years.
Yeah. So, you know, you just mentioned Westside. We have to talk about it because Westside Barbell in Columbus, Ohio, it's got this mythic status. It's, you know, it's something people talk about almost in whispers because it's, you know, the place is full of world champions. It's full of guys that can squat 1,000 pounds, deadlift 900 pounds.
So that is full of professional MMA fighters. It is full of shot putters. It is full of pro boxers, NFL players. All these people visit. Some of the best people in every sport you've ever heard of made a pilgrimage at one time to Westside Barbell to learn from the oracle of knowledge himself, Louis Simmons. Love Louis Simmons to death. Spent my 3 years there. Did what I was supposed to do there, but I needed to learn from him and go home and do my own thing. There are other people that find their home there, and that will always be like, I'll tell you this, most people don't know this, and this may be my new tradition. Last year, I went and I was at Westside for 3 years, and I left kind of on a hostile note with Louis. But when I came back, and I didn't come back to see Louis, I came back to see one of my best friends who works for Louis, a guy by the name of Tom Berry, who actually, by the way, is coming up with my rehab program for my arm.
Okay.
Anyway, I went up there to visit, and Louis immediately wanted to take me out to eat. Heard I was in town, so he took me out to eat, and we immediately buried the bad blood and, you know, shook each other's hand. And before I left, he told me, you know, you Westside for life. And the interesting thing about Westside is, even back home, you know, I go to a gym called Dirty South Barbell that I helped start with my best friend. Most of our members, even the hardcore members, disappear around Christmas. It's the holidays, everybody slow down. I can go to Westside Barbell on Christmas Day, and you will walk in, and there will be 20 guys in there killing themselves, pouring sweat, and not talking, and just that energy and that atmosphere. It is truly inspiring every time you go there. It really is. And I'll go there, like I'll go through my whole year, and then I'll go there, and I'll stay a few days, and I'll visit. And just being there for a few days in that atmosphere reinvigorates me to come home and kill it. Every time, man, every time. So that's what I can say about Westside.
Well, and another thing I'm curious, when you have that many guys in one building that are all world class, and I imagine a lot of you guys are competing in the same events together and everything, how competitive is it? I mean, are you guys friendly? Are you guys super rivals, or how does that work?
Unbelievable, just because there is money involved. So you got, you know, some people say, oh, that's a hobby. No, it's not a hobby. I pay my bills like this. Yeah. And for my 3 years when I was there, I made some decent friends, but there was no getting around. When we walked into that gym, we all looked at each other and we all said, I'm the man today. I got this today. And it was pretty cutthroat, but there's just no getting around it. But that atmosphere is what made us all machines.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll tell you this is an interesting story most people don't know. I was so used to not having normal human interaction besides training and hardcore training when I came back from Westside, I've known like my buddy Jim Benson, who I told you about, who I started my gym with.
Yeah.
I came back and I'm going out to eat with friends I've known for 10 years. And there's like 7 or 8 of them celebrating the fact that Shane moved back home. And we're sitting at a table and I could not, I had nothing to say to anybody. Like, they were my friends and I was so used to being a machine that for the first 2 months of being home, I didn't have anything to say.
Wow.
And even my friends were like, man, you were really weird that day we took you out to eat and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, because you were all talking to me, and I wasn't used to more than one person talking to me at one time, and I wasn't used to so many friends being around each other and just joking and saying stuff for no reason. For the last 3 years, if it was talked about, it was lifting, it was progress, it was what needed to be done, it was always moving forward. You need to be better. We need to push. Boom, 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 boom. There was never the relax of, oh, we're okay and we can joke around. You really never had that. We had a good time doing what we were doing, but we were all so eager to be the best that you could not settle down to have that little bit of normal life. So when I moved home, there was definitely a transition to where I had to learn how to be around normal people again. Yeah. And that's a true story.
That's a crazy story. So I want to talk about what led up to your injury, and I'll give people some background to summarize what you told me. Was that, you lost your dad when you were 17, so it was basically you and your grandmother and your mother, and they were both disabled, and you basically had to be their caretaker.
Oh, yes.
So 3 years in Ohio, you had to leave them behind in Georgia. So what happens when you come back from 3 years? Well,
3 years in Ohio, I made sure somebody was taking care of them. And like I said, I'd send money home. If they were short, I'd send money home, make sure some bills were paid. Most I could ever do is like $500 a month, but I would do that. And then when I came home, they just both were in a bad state of health, and it just got worse over time. And I love them to death, but it just really, they never went to a nursing home, and they never had to go to a hospital unless they got too much for me to take care of, like I couldn't handle the health problem. Yeah. But they stayed here in my home. It became a small hospital, and eventually I lost both of them. And I got to tell you, man, it's one thing when you lose somebody. It's another thing when you're fighting not to lose them. When every day you wake up, you're like, okay, we're going to get better. You're going to be okay. We got this. And then they still go no matter how hard you try. It was a lot to swallow for a minute. And anyway, that stress caused me to do what I shouldn't do, which I told you before, which was overtrain, training on emotion, not training when I'm supposed to, the way I'm supposed to, just going because I needed it. And like I said, that got up to sometimes 3 times a day, and that went on, for 6 or 8 months prior to me tearing my tricep off the ball. And I felt something was coming, but I've never been injured, and I couldn't tell you what it was. I just knew I was beat down in a weird way. I just knew it was extra, but I didn't. You're always like, one day I'm going to rest. I'll just do this last workout, and then I'm going to take this mythical day of rest that I've never had. And as I told you, before this injury, for 18 years, I've never taken a time off in 18 years. So, blessing in disguise. But anyway, that's definitely what constituted stress, no sleep, and not keeping up the calories the way I should when you're too stressed. Yeah, definitely contributed to this. You cannot make mistakes playing with these weights. You cannot. You cannot skip food. You cannot skip eating, and you cannot train wrong. You have to do everything right, and that's already if you're a mastered athlete. So
there was one product that you said was actually, because up until then you were only getting 5 hours sleep at the most a night, right?
Just because of pure pain in my body, yeah.
So was it you mentioned, was it Somatomax?
Somatomax. A lot of products from High Tech have changed my life, man. But Somatomax to this day is the first thing that I tell people, that if you don't believe High Tech makes some serious product, I dare you to go get a tub of Somatomax and go ahead and take a full scoop the first night you ever take it. Just go ahead and do that. Tell me the next morning you didn't have the best sleep of your life and you don't feel amazing. You will. And when I took that when I was young, man, it knocked me out for like 10 hours. Nice. And I woke up I just, you even wake up, it makes you sleep so hard because, what is it? As soon as you enter sleep with Spinamax, you enter REM sleep, and that's usually only a 2 to 3 hour thing. So I slept, not only did I sleep more than 5 hours, I slept 10, and the whole time I was doing it, I was in REM sleep. I literally woke up sweating, but I felt amazing. Like it was a feeling I'd never had. And to this day, man, that is still one of my favorite products of all time. It's just because I'm a guy who just can't sleep. So,
yeah. So we need to talk about the injury a little bit. So you're close grip bench pressing 525 pounds.
Sir.
And walk me through this. You felt and heard this horrible pop?
Well, actually, what happened this night, the full story, is I came back from that trip, from a trip for high tech. I went and did I was going to do a small seminar and to a gym that buys a good amount of high tech product.
Yeah.
And just to mention this too, by the way, they're a small gym, and a town of like 10,000 people, they had like 3,500 members.
What?
I have never seen anyone that was just that good with people. Like, they would make rounds every day to the most like influential areas of the town, Nashville, Tennessee, and they would shake hands with the most powerful people every day. Like for breakfast, lunch, dinner, like they did this circle in Nashville, and it paid off. Like their gym is amazing. Anyway, I came back from that trip. It was a great trip. They're great people, and I knew I was really beat up, and I came into the gym, and I planned to do nothing. And of course, I'm beat up, and I know it. But the guys at the gym were like, "Hey, man, you gonna punk out today? You gonna punk out today and not lift?" And I said, "No, let's do this." So I had a slight, and I mean very slight, pec injury maybe a year ago, just a slight tear, and it took me like a couple weeks to get over. It's superficial, but it made me to where I was real hesitant on a raw bench. Anyway, we went up to 455, and I kind of flopped it and then pushed, and they were like, "Man, you're pushing easy, but you can tell you're scared of that pec." And I said, "You know what? Let's slow this down. Let's try to do this right." So I did. I went back. I did 455 again, but this time I slowed it down and I pushed. I said, "Okay." So we went 475, 495, 505. I did 505. That was technically a 5-pound PR. I should have quit, but it pushed pretty easy, and I was like, let's see. And the next jump, 525 is what got me. I was pushing on the way up. I could feel this huge. It felt like somebody was pulling a root out of my elbow. I never felt anything like that. It's worse pain. I played football. I played college ball. I've been a powerlifter for 18 years. I've been through a lot of pain just training. Okay, I'm no stranger to all the different Baskin Robbins flavors of pain. Like, I know all the flavors. Yeah. This one was a new flavor and a level I didn't know you could go through that much pain and still be alive.
Wow.
Because literally when it happened, it was so bad, my arm immediately started swelling, and the blood loss in my arm was so bad, I almost passed out in the truck on the way to the hospital.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it was rough, buddy. I mean, that's all I can say about it. But anyway, I was very blessed, and within 4 days or 5 days of my accident, I had surgery at Piedmont Orthopedics, and I was home without insurance. I was through the surgery and sit at home within 5 days in a cast.
Wow.
And, man, I want to tell you this. I have to tell you, this is a cool story. I think people train so much that we don't know how much we change our bodies compared to normal people.
Yeah.
I have never had surgery before, ever. I've never been sick before, ever. Okay, nothing never been wrong like this. Okay, I go to have surgery. They're doing the cuff to check my blood pressure. Okay.
Yeah.
They cannot get my blood pressure. They can't get it, and I think it's hilarious. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
The doctor was so experienced with athletes. He came over, looked at me. He's like, "Oh, his arms are too hard for that." And I'm like, that in a way that I didn't even know that could exist, because he came over and actually fixed it himself. But I didn't know that exists. But it took these people 8 times to get my blood pressure. And after 18 years of training, you don't realize how hard your body has become compared to the person. And on top of this, I warned the guy doing the anesthesia that I never had been put out. I have a problem sleeping. and I got a phobia about you being able to put me to sleep. Okay? Yeah. So I need you to bear with me, and you're probably going to take a little bit more because I'm a dense dude, and you're probably this. He didn't listen to me at all. We went to the surgery. It took him 3 times, 3 doses of anesthesia to put me out.
Wow.
I'm a legend at this hospital for how much it took to put me out. And I don't think that's a great thing to brag on, but I just want people to know when you're training hard, you're changing a lot of things in your body that make you not normal anymore. Mm-hmm. And after 18 years of training, I definitely have become something different. Yeah. And the doctors there knew it. I mean, they were blown away by the physical specimen I was without even knowing what I did. Yeah. So I thought it was a cool story.
Now, and you said you lucked out that you didn't tear the tricep muscle at all. It was just the tendon detached from the elbow.
Yeah, it's called your right distal tendon. It literally feels like it's attached to your funny bone.
Yeah.
And you ever pinged your funny bone?
Well, I tore my tricep pretty much the same way you did. So
Okay. Well, I mean, if you ever just accidentally popped your funny, like everybody has, my injury felt like somebody tore something off my funny bone. And the way a funny bone feels weird when you hurt it, when you tear something off of it, it's like a lot of pain plus weird. So anyway, and if you want to see, you'll probably get better pictures than this. But there's my scar.
Oh yeah, lovely. You need to get some tattoos over that so nobody can see it.
I'm proud of it a little bit, kind of, but ready to be strong again.
So you talk about this a blessing in disguise because you haven't taken any time off training. You've just been going full blast for 18 years.
Sure, I want to be the strongest man on this planet, and that's what I've been working for.
And it's been 2 months, you said, since the surgery?
Yeah, it's been a little over 2 months now. Last night, actually, was my first night of training back.
Wow.
And first night of training back consisted of a very tiny band and doing 100 reps in my right arm. And surprisingly enough, what's harder to get back is my bicep. My tricep didn't atrophy, my bicep did. And curling my arm up is the harder part than locking it out. Bicep is so tight from surgery and trauma. Yeah, it's harder to
Makes sense.
That took 2 months.
Yeah.
I still can't eat with my right hand or do anything.
Wow.
But that's 2 months. Yeah. That's 2 months of rehab myself to be able to touch my nose. No problem.
Yeah. So what's your plan? I mean, you said you had someone who's going to work with you on a very structured rehab program, right?
Barry of Westside Barbell is one of my better friends, but actually one of the best minds and strength today, man. I mean, he can take any athlete and just he's literally Louis' right-hand man, Louis Simmons' right-hand man.
Yeah.
And he gets no coverage because he's Louis' right-hand man.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
But you need to know the name of Tom Barry because, man, he's a good guy, and his mind for strength and his ability to figure out what an athlete needs is really next level. And anyway, so I told him what happened, and of course he got all over me about the mistake I made and having this happen. But he sat me down. He's like, man, let's take pictures. Let's see how much we atrophied. Let's see what the nutrition is like, and let's talk about how the arm's feeling, what's it doing, and what we need to do. And anyway, from that, we've kind of developed a light sketch, and this week where I can get a lot more detail on what I need. Because we just need to see that I can move it again. But anyway, he's formulating my rehab right now, and I'm probably going to take a trip to Westside next month and do a video on what we want to show people is a good way to rehab this. Because one thing I've been blown away by since I've had my injury, I was really ashamed to show people that I was injured. I always saw that as weakness, not in other people who got injured, but if I got injured, I was weak, and I was ashamed to show people. Oh man, I'm gonna lose this. Coming out and being honest with people about what actually happened to me, man. I've had more people contact me with this injury than I can believe. I've had almost 30 people email me and tell me I had the same injury, which is a rare injury, by the way. In fact, Louis Simmons has been in my sport for 40 years. He said I'm the second person he has ever heard of having this injury in powerlifting. It's a very rare injury. Anyway, lucky me. I had about 30 people come out and tell me what had happened to them. And the disturbing thing was there was a lot of them that after 9 months still were not okay. And the doctor literally told me 3 to 6 months you'll be fine. And you talk about people telling me after 9, I'm like, you need to change something. You need some kind of training or a proper rehab. So me and Tommy kind of put our minds together on this. We want to help people that have had this, show them the proper way to rehab this. Because if it's been 9 months since you had surgery, you're doing something wrong. It's either nutrition or it's training or it's stretching or you didn't follow up on rehab. Because every day, even when I wasn't supposed to, as soon as I got this cast off, I started doing rehab. Not lifting, but I started doing the stretching rehab on my elbow.
Yeah. So are you going to be documenting this rehab on like your Instagram or anything for people?
Absolutely. I just started last night. I'll be documenting that on my Instagram and my Facebook. And you were saying what I want to do when I come back.
Yeah.
First meet, no matter what, I want to do the Arnold, and I want to pull the biggest American deadlift of all time when I come back. And as far as bench pressing, I'll probably another 3 months later after that. But I'm taking my tricep slow because I don't feel like paying for this thing again. I'm not scared of my tricep, but like I told you before, the most expensive thing I own in this world now is my right arm. You know?
Well, because I mean, the Arnold is only, realistically, it's just like 2 months away.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to be coming back 2 months, you're only 2 months post surgery right now. It's amazing that you're going to be that resilient enough to be able to deadlift. What are you're planning on 950, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yikes.
If I'm healthy, I pull it. If I'm healthy and I can hold on to it, I can pull it all day.
Okay. We talked a little bit before about your nutrition. Now, can you tell people, how many meals a day you eat, what the calories need to be to fuel this type of lifting, this type of training and recovery?
This type of training, for my body size, wanting to be 300 pounds. If I wanted to be a smaller, a lot leaner guy, I definitely wouldn't push it this far, but I need to be a 300-pound man. And so I'll probably do 6,000 calories a day no matter what. And without that, I lose weight. Without that, I just can't keep on the weight, man. And I'm talking about losing weight. When I say that to y'all, most people go, oh, he loses a few pounds. No, I'm talking about I can lose 10 pounds in a week. I mean, I can really lose some weight, man. And really, honestly, the hardest thing for me to do, even after everything I know, is putting on true mass. Like, that's all. Put it on real muscle mass. One thing I was told when I was a kid, I was like, man, I gained 5 pounds. And as a kid, you're like, man, I put on 5 pounds of muscle. No, that's not true. Yeah. Because go buy 5 pounds of red meat and throw it on your table. That's a lot of meat. Yeah. And you change that much. You may have gained some water and put on some muscle size, but you didn't grow 5 pounds of that on your body in a week. Right. Okay. And that's, as a kid, I didn't know that. Nowadays, I do.
Yeah. And you'll go as high as 10,000 calories, you say?
Oh, absolutely. 10,000 calories. With 10,000 calories a day, I can handle any amount of training. Yeah. If I'm sleeping and I'm eating that much food, I can train as hard as my little heart desires, and I'll be just fine. So, but if I'm doing that, I can't do it, man.
How clean is this food? I mean, to get that many calories from clean food, that's an outrageous amount of food.
Well, honestly, if I want to be lean, and this is actually not really a West Side story, but kind of is, I never really change how I train, like the way I train, but I will change my diet. And when I was at West Side, I got up to 330 pounds. I was 327 pounds at one time.
Wow.
And I was that big. I was fluffy, but, man, I could walk through a wall. Like, there's nothing that felt heavy to me, nothing.
Wow.
And what was it? I looked in the mirror, or someone took a video of me one day, and I was just like, whew, like I'm a little big. I'm a little big, but I don't want to be that kind of big. Yeah. So I changed my diet, and I switched from I stopped eating bread, I got rid of soda, and I started eating brown rice. And at night, I started eating coconut oil before bed. I started eating 2 tablespoons of coconut oil before bed, and first thing in the morning I did that too. And within 6 months, I weighed 255.
Wow!
And I didn't do one thing of cardio. I did nothing. I literally changed my diet, changed my supplements, and that's it. And by the way, I just want to say this too, as someone who works for High Tech, if there's a big boy or someone out there listening to this program that really struggles, man, carnivore may change your life. Without L-carnitine, you know this, you're well versed. Without L-carnitine, you do not have the amino acids to burn fat. Some people make this from the food they make. They do it very well, but some people don't make this at all from the food they make. I got a guy in my gym who was 455 pounds. He has not changed his diet, and he has not changed the way he trains. He trains like a heavy powerlifter, but his weight is 330 pounds now.
Wow.
And it took him about 3 years to do that. But you're talking about a guy who didn't change his diet. He does not do this for a living. He trains like a powerlifter, and all he did was add car sport into his everyday routine. And this joker has lost over 100 pounds. That's a big deal, man. And the guys out there that may struggle with that can make this a lot easier for them. A certain way for losing weight, man. I always what do they call it? The ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
I don't really believe. I know y'all have to do it for bodybuilding.
No, we argue about this all the time.
Diet, but I'm talking about the way you have to diet for bodybuilding. Yeah. I do not believe it's healthy at all. And the reason I don't is because I've seen so many guys over the years who were bodybuilders who came to me when they were older, and they all have intestinal issues. And it's not because y'all are killing yourself. It's because you're so dry, and intestines run on two things: fat and moisture. And if you're dry all the time, intestines are suffering. Some guys stay dry for 30 years, and then when they're in their 50s, some guys run like that, and when they're in their 50s, they have these intestinal issues. It's not for everybody, but I've seen it so many times that it has to be mentioned. I've just seen it so many times, man.
I've never heard that theory, so thanks for bringing that up.
For me, the way past that is the ketogenic diet, because and actually one thing you get that most people don't know from a ketogenic diet, which is a high-fat diet, which is most people's testosterone actually goes up while they're in ketosis, while they're doing that kind of diet. So, like I said, the coconut oil, anything like that, I just discovered that good fats changed me. So fish oil, coconut oil, low carbs made my life easy. So,
one thing we talked about, I want to make sure you talk about again because it was so interesting, is the fear factor. You got an 1,100-pound bench press in the gym. I can't comprehend 1,100 pounds on a bar over my face, and I know that if I slip, I'm dead.
Yes.
How do you get past that fear?
You have to use it to help you lift, and you have to use it to let you respect what you do. But if it ever even creeps into your mind during the lift, it's over. You can't think about it. You just can't. You have to be in attack. You have to be in such an attack mode that you know that this thing can kill you, but you don't care because so much of you is ready to bow up at this thing. Like you're holding out 1,100 pounds, but every fiber in your being is like, I got this. I'm doing this. It takes a long time to get there, but it's no different there than when you're at 400 pounds. Because I'm gonna tell you something right now. Any man walking this planet who can bench 405 pounds raw in a gym on a bench is a very strong man.
I agree.
Very strong man. I don't care who you are. That's a powerful guy. You don't see it. It's not the average. In fact, when I was young, I was in an atmosphere where nobody squatted less than 400 pounds. So I've been in that atmosphere my whole life. So at 19 years old, I had an old timer ask me a question one time. He said, "What do you think the average guy squats?" And I said, 400 pounds. Average man squat 400 pounds. And he laughed in my face. And I was like, well, what? What's wrong with that? And he's like, no, son. Go to the average gym. Most people struggle squatting 225. Yeah. Not even to death. Right. And I was, David, the guy's the guy named David. And I said, David, what's wrong with them, man? Like, they sick? Like, something's wrong? And I just didn't understand because of the environment I was in. But as I've grown up and I've gone out into the regular world more and seen, regular gyms more often now because of all the traveling I have to do, you notice that that's a big deal. And anybody out there who's trying to be strong, appreciate what you're doing, man. Appreciate your hard work and how far you come because you have improved. You're not who you used to be. And, there may be guys out there better than you, but they may do it for a living. They may take it further than you do. Be proud of what you do, man. You are strong. And people need to know that. You need to be proud of yourself.
And the big divide, I guess you want to call it, or the big differences in powerlifting seems to be raw and geared.
Yeah.
We were talking about there really isn't such a thing as raw powerlifting anymore.
No, there isn't. I mean, they'll have meets that are very small where guys will do the no knee wrap, no belt thing, but the majority of raw meets are the next generation of knee wrap that's supposedly better than the last one, and whatever belt they're putting on, because the belts really don't matter. A good belt's a good belt. But they, it's a different world now. You got guys putting 200 pounds on their squat with a knee wrap, and I hate saying that to the average guy, because they think, oh, well, that means if I put those knee wraps on the way they do it, I add 200 pounds on my squat. No, after years of training and doing that 1,000 times, you will. But you're just not going to put it on and go. Nobody's ever going to put on a bench shirt and bench 1,000 pounds. It's going to take you 20 years to get there. Because every single one of us that have gotten here, I'm an 18-year journey, and the guys who have come before me that have reached this level, it was about 18 to 20 years to some of the best athletes on the planet.
But you were telling me also that these knee wraps are using, they wrap it in such a way that there's a ball underneath your knee that they can basically.
The guy who actually, I don't know if you want to say invented that, but the guy who started doing that first was a great man by the name of Anthony Clark.
Oh, the late Anthony Clark, yeah.
Anthony Clark in training used to tie a knee wrap around his elbow and put a tennis ball in there to help him bench press. And this is before gear was gear. This is when a shirt was like a T-shirt, okay? So he would do that to bench press, and he also started doing that in squat. Well, these knee wraps are so big and long and thick nowadays, they can make this huge ball under their leg, right under their kneecap, and they bounce off of it, along with the recoil of whatever. You actually see it's hard for most of them to get down in those knee wraps. I'm not taking anything away from what those guys do. There are some incredible raw athletes out there, and I would shake their hand and tell them that I'm impressed by anything they do nowadays, but you cannot tell me it's raw versus geared when you're wearing stuff that ain't made of you. If you're wearing something that's not you, it's gear.
Right.
So that's what I feel about it. Call it what it is.
Right. So, what is your plan from here? I know you are determined to be the strongest man that ever lived, the greatest powerlifter that ever lived. To do that, you need a plan. Here you are. What is your plan to get there? Okay,
the plan as it sits right now, number one, get healthy. Tricep can hurt no more.
Okay.
But number one, get healthy. Number two is I've had a lot of life get in the way of my goals. And I loved my family, but taking care of them took everything out of me.
Yeah.
I've missed them every day, but now that it is just me, I am going to be more than focused on what I have to do. And number one is this year, I want to put up the biggest total in powerlifting history. And after I do that, I'm going to enter strongman.
Nice.
I won't even lie to you about that. I've changed so much aesthetically. Like, definitely don't look at it right now. 2 months not training, it's whatever, man. Please bear with me. The thought is maybe one day doing a bodybuilding show, because I've changed so much. If you look at some of my pictures from the gym,
I have.
Okay, I have really changed over the last couple of years, especially from the time that High Tech put me in the category of they bought out APS, and they said, okay, you're a high-tech athlete, but you're going to promote APS now.
Yeah.
When they started doing that, they came to the gym, and actually when they first came there, I was sick. I just got done being sick, and they took this photo of me that everybody liked, where I'm looking this way, and they're looking up whatever. But when you look at it, I look like I have not been training. And within the 3 years of them sponsoring me, and me taking the supplements they told me to take, and changing my nutrition the way I needed to, and turn the way I have, which has really just been for powerlifting, not the bodybuild, my body has changed big time, man. There are days I don't recognize the guy I see in the mirror. And it's because I'm naturally always going to be a fat kid at heart, because that's what I grew up as. I mean, I did. I grew up as a chubby kid. Yeah. But changing into what I am now, there's times I got veins in my chest. Like, I've never had veins in my chest. It's crazy. But it excites me. And because of that, one day I just want to see what I look like when I try to do bodybuilding. So, and it's a fun sport. I have a lot of good friends that do it, and I do want to try it out one day, but I have to finish my strength goals first before I can delve into that.
So that leads me to my last question is, you've trained around bodybuilders, especially you got started out by a bodybuilder back when you were a kid. What could bodybuilders really learn and gain from powerlifters, and the way they train that would help us?
The number one thing they can learn, and I would teach anybody, your body has a 21-day cycle. It's 3 weeks. If you keep doing it, whether it's nutrition, whatever, if you keep doing the same thing after 21 days, the body will go backwards or stay the same or just not receive the stimulus at all. You have to shock the body. Powerlifters do a better job of programming and the science of training, because most of my training comes from track and field. Most of my training does not come from any old powerlifter. It comes from explosive training. That you want to be an explosive athlete. There's no such thing as a heavy weight that moves slow, so you need to be explosive. You need to move fast. Yeah. Strength is fast twitch. Endurance is slow twitch. Okay, and there has to be a balance. With bodybuilders, they are typically 10 to 15 years ahead of us in nutrition, and powerlifters are 10 to 15 years ahead in training regimens. And that's just a true story. It's what we focus on, and bodybuilders focus on nutrition. Because I've told people now, I've been out of training 2 months, and I've kind of kept up a decent diet, and I've definitely kept on my supplements. And within 2 months of not training, I've lost almost no weight. I still have a relative same look, and I haven't been able to lift at all. Like, I'm not as hard as I was. I'm not as quite as big and muscular as I did look, but I really didn't lose much, and it's because I was adhering to the nutrition standards of a bodybuilder. And earlier when I was saying the diet that y'all do is unhealthy, I wasn't saying the way y'all eat is unhealthy. I was saying being that dry, which you know that. Yeah. Being dry is unhealthy. Because when the pros come off stage, those guys are ready to pass out.
Yes, they are.
They are very close to death.
Sometimes they do pass out.
Yeah, sometimes they do. And I can imagine what they put themselves through. But the difference is when a powerlifter steps on stage, I'm the strongest you should ever see me. And when a bodybuilder steps on stage, you're typically the weakest you're ever going to see a bodybuilder. But they look amazing. It's just the difference in the sport. And I just hope the guys who really try to take care of how they look, I hope that they know there's more than one way to eat. They can stay dry, but I wish they'd go for the higher fat and lower carb instead of just getting rid of everything and being dry as hell. Yeah. You know, I wish they'd go that route. So
cool. Okay. Shane, I appreciate you doing this twice in one day. Everybody, this guy I can't thank you enough. You're a trooper. Also want to say we got the same shirt on by accident. I'm in a 1XL. I think he's in like a 5XL though.
It's a 3. Don't worry.
So we're going to be able to see you pretty soon. March 3rd at the Arnold Classic. You're going to be going for the American all-time deadlift record.
I'm going to try. I'm going to give it everything I got, bro.
And from there on, you know, at some point in the future after that, you're going to go for the all-time record of powerlifting total in the history of the sport.
Total that I want 3110.
Wow.
110. That will let me walk away from my sport, continue to keep my strength up, but go delve into strongman. And I'm not going to say this. I will say this. I'm going to win World's Strongest Man one day. It may be 5 years from now, but I'm going to win that show. The guy who has to be there has to be 50 pounds bigger than I am. I got to be 50. And it almost sounds like a joke to a lot of people, but the guys who do that sport, they've come to me a lot, and they're like, man, you just need some more mass. Like, you need more mass. In fact, a guy I respect greatly came to me and told me that I'm built just like Eddie Hall, which I think is a great compliment because I think he's one of the greatest athletes that's ever lived. But he told me I'm built just like Eddie Hall, and he said if I gained 50 pounds, he said, you'd be able to compete with these guys. And okay, because if I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it just to have fun. I want to win. I want to be the best, and I want to show people what high-tech products really do for people. And I'm a normal guy who has worked really hard and taken care of myself and had the right people in my corner and with the right nutrition, man. So I'm a blessed guy, and I hope to see everybody at the Arnold, man.
Right on. Hope to meet you there myself, sir. I'll be taunting the high-tech booth quite frequently. I always do. So looking forward to meeting you. So, again, thank you so much, Shane. Shane Hammock, everybody. He's been a real trooper, an amazing champion. He's on the comeback trail. Check out, what is your Instagram, Shane?
Oh, Lord. It's hard to say to people because I've never changed the name of it. But it's RS Hammock 55.
Okay. Hammock, just like that thing you sleep in, everybody. RS Hammock 55.
That's right, man.
Okay, check him out. He's going to be documenting his comeback there, and I'm going to be following along to see how that goes. Wishing you the best.
I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for the Ronline report. It's been Ron Harris with Shane Hammock.